What's up, y'all? I hope you're all well and in good spirits. Today I'm going to tell a little story about standing up for myself in the early 80s. So I came here as an immigrant and I landed in the CV Circle public housing projects in Sacramento. And when we got there seemed to be a little bit of a schism between Chicanos, second generation Mexican Americans, and these new immigrants that were part of Ronald Reagan's amnesty. We were a community, right? And a lot of us lived in the housing projects together. So around this time, I was 10 years old, and hip hop was in its nascency. You know, the message had just come out, and electro hip hop was hitting, and the world class wrecking crew was hitting. Stuff like that. And I was probably around 10, 11 years old. And during that time, it became imprinted on me for some reason that people from Fresno were extra tough, because there would be people in the projects that would be like, "Oh, you fucked up. I'm gonna call my cousins from Fresno," and sometimes their cousins would show up, and there'd be a little rumble. And so early on, they had that reputation with me, anyways. And later on, I did see it firsthand in the youth authority. But going back to being 10 years old, one day, these two guys from Fresno show up to visit their cousins who were well known in these projects. And the girl cousin, who was a little bit older than me and a thug, was showing them around. And somehow they got called out to a dance battle. For those that ain't familiar, 84, 85... there was a lot of breakdance crews and whatnot that later went on to become the gangs of the 90s. And this was even right before breakdancing, where it was just a lot of popping. And so at the time, people were starting to have boom boxes. And my memory, the best boom box you could have, the one that would top most boom boxes, was a suitcase. And it had a deck put in it, and an amplifier put in it, and two 6x9s, and it was powered by a motorcycle battery. Electro hip hop was hitting. Uncle Jam's Army, Unknown DJ, World Class Wrecking Crew. And the only boombox I really seen top the suitcase boombox was the shopping cart boombox. Some people would take a shopping cart and remove the top part and flip it so that it was like a low rider, and then they built a boombox around that. This is in the projects. And then they push it around bumping music. So anyways, these people in the projects that are well known, there's some thug fools in that family, and this is the sister of them who's, pretty tough. And she's showing her cousins around, and some kids approach them and challenge them to a dance contest, and someone shows up with the suitcase boombox, and the music's bumping, and now they're dancing against each other, right? They're not gangbanging, they're dancing against each other. Fucking, we were competing to see who was the most artistic. And the music going, I start bobbing my head. I'm 10, 11. And this girl, Ella, she looks at me and she says, "You better not dance against them." And I was scared of her. I'm not going to bullshit. I was scared of her. And I was scared of her brothers, because I knew if I fought with her brothers were pretty thugged out. They were well known. I'm not going to say last names, but there was Danny and Adani. And I thought, man, they'll fuck me up if I fight with her. So I was scared of her. And she said, "You better not dance against them." And so these other kids are dancing against them. I don't remember who is, and they're popping. And even though my dad was a paisa, didn't speak any English at all. He used to always bump Pac Jam by the Josem Crew. This part of the electro hip hop of the early 80s. PACKJAM. Pac Jam. Pac Jam. Pac Jam. That shit is tight as fuck. And that came on. And as much as I've disliked my dad throughout my life, and I've reconciled that, I love that song because of him. And it comes on, and that Eva tells me, you better not fucking dance. And she's like doing the knuckle thing. She's gonna sock me up. And I'm terrified of her. But when Pac Jam came on, I couldn't help myself. I started dancing, popping and shit. And I popped like on YouTube contests with Incredible Javier on his show. But I beat him. I beat them dudes. And then I left before Eva could beat me up. But I do feel like in standing up to her, I made her develop a little crush on me. And so let that be a lesson to you to stand up for things you believe in, even if it's just dancing for a song you love. Much love.